good afternoon. You are watching This Is Now. First today, we begin with new developments in the deadly Waianae shooting over the weekend.
The Honolulu Medical Examiner released the identities of the people killed, and we're learning more about the victims from loved ones. Officials say 3 women were killed when 59-year-old Hiram Silva went on a deadly rampage in the Waianae neighborhood. They are 36-year-old Sherelle Keamo died from a gunshot wound to the head, while 34-year-old Courtney Raymond Arakaki and 29-year-old Jessica Amisu died from multiple gunshot wounds. Loved ones of Raymond Arakaki describe her as someone who was always happy.
She was hardworking, she was loving, she was respectful, she was responsible. She was all of that and more. When her father passed away 2 years ago, she became even more of a rock for her family, for her mom and her siblings. And she lovingly became known as Auntie Mama because she always had the kids with her.
Police say Richard Keamo Carnate used his legally registered handgun to kill Silva, who was armed with 2 illegal guns. At a neighborhood board meeting in Waianae last night, some questioned police about Hawaii's self-defense laws, especially since Keamo Carnate was arrested and spent the night in jail before he was released without being charged.
There still needs to be an investigation. There needs to be an investigation. And although this is what everybody's saying that happened, he defended his family and stuff like that, great. And if that happens, he won't get charged.
Coming up later, Casey Lund will show us how Waianae's youth community is speaking out against the rise in gun violence. Tragedy in Georgia. Authorities say 4 people have been killed and at least 9 others injured at a shooting at a school northeast of Atlanta. A suspect is in custody, and students who took shelter in the football stadium are working to reunite with their families. Dave Malkoff takes us there.
Officials say gunfire erupted at this Georgia high school Wednesday morning.
There are 4 individuals who are deceased from this incident, 9 that have been taken to local hospitals with various injuries. Of those that are deceased, 2 are students and 2 are teachers here at the school.
The Barrow County Sheriff's Office says a suspect was taken into custody after gun violence at Appalachia High School.
He is a 14-year-old student here at the high school. Within minutes, law enforcement was on scene, as well as 2 school resource officers assigned here to the school. Once they encountered the subject immediately surrendered to these officers, and he was taken into custody.
The sheriff's office said officers from multiple law enforcement agencies, fire and EMS personnel were dispatched to the school in response to the shooting.
I heard like 12, 15 different gunshots. It was like boom, boom.
Like the gunshots were so close to me, like my ears started ringing real bad. Like the whole classroom was smoking.
I was in class and we heard shots. The teacher ran, slammed the door, made us all go in the corner.
The FBI's Atlanta office says agents are on the scene and supporting local law enforcement. During the chaos, the school with about 1,900 students was placed on lockdown. They later evacuated to the school's football field and were cleared to reunite with their families. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp says he directed all available state resources to respond to the incident. Dave Malkoff, CBS News, Winder, Georgia.
Hawaii County Police are asking for your help to find a burglary suspect. They say 31-year-old Jordan Bothello from Papai'iko is armed and dangerous. He was last seen in Papai'iko on Saturday and also frequents Pepe'ekeo. If you see him, call police at the number on your screen. On Oahu, police have arrested 14 hikers in recent days for illegally entering the Ha'iku Stairs construction zone. 8 of those 14 were arrested Tuesday morning on criminal trespassing charges. The state land department says the group was found using the Middle Ridge Trail on the Kaneohe side of the stairway, which is not a state-sanctioned trail.
The U.S. Justice Department has filed criminal charges against 6 senior leaders of Hamas in the deaths of dozens of Americans killed in the October 7th attack in Israel. The charges come as protesters once again filled the streets there in Israel, demanding a ceasefire. Natalie Brown reports from the White House.
We want them alive.
In Tel Aviv, family members of hostages vowed Wednesday to remain in the streets until their loved ones are freed.
We have to do a deal now, to seal a deal Now we can't wait.
Protesters are stepping up calls on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to agree to a ceasefire and hostage release deal after the recent killings of 6 hostages in Gaza, including Israeli-American Hirsch Goldberg Poland. But Netanyahu has vowed not to give in to pressure, insisting Israel must control a section along Gaza's border with Egypt called the Philadelphia Corridor in order to prevent Hamas from smuggling weapons into Gaza. Egypt and Hamas deny the claim, and Hamas insists on a full withdrawal. Tuesday night, Israel's former defense minister Benny Gantz said the corridor does not pose an existential threat and should not get in the way of a deal. Nearly 11 months since the October 7th terror attacks that started this conflict, the U.S. Justice Department unveiled criminal charges against Hamas leaders, citing the deaths of dozens of Israeli Americans. But half of those charged are dead. The other 3, including the current leader, Yahya Sinwar, have yet to be captured. Experts on the region call the move largely symbolic.
I think it's unlikely that the individuals, Yahya Sinwar in particular, will be captured by the United States. I think he's much more likely to be killed or captured by Israel.
The Justice Department said the charges will not be its last effort to target Hamas. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Congress is poised for yet another funding showdown this fall. Republicans and Democrats are facing off over spending levels ahead of the October deadline. Lawmakers will have just 13 days in this session to find a path forward when they return next week. Sources close to the process say House Speaker Mike Johnson is eyeing a plan to bring legislation to the floor in the first few days of the session that would fund the government into the spring. It's known as a continuing resolution. He would then attach a controversial bill, a bill which Senate Democrats are warning is a non-starter in their chamber. Back here at home, heads up if you live in central Maui, you may be under a mandatory water restriction. A stage 1 shortage has been declared for residents and businesses in 11 areas, and they're now being asked to irrigate their properties only 2 days a week. You're also urged to fix leaks and faulty sprinklers and to not refill pools. The shortage stems from heavy demand over the summer. We've posted a full list of impacted areas on HawaiiNewsNow.com. Meanwhile, on Kawaii, the Princeville Utilities Company has issued a water conservation request as well because of a problem with its pump stations. The request also includes Department of Water customers on Anini Road, Kalihiwai Valley Estates, and part of Kuhio Highway near Honolulu Plantation Road. Water customers are asked to stick to essential needs such as drinking, cooking, and sanitation purposes. Honolulu businesswoman Koko Iwamoto is once again shaking up Hawaii politics. In the contentious race for House District 25, she was able to unseat one of Hawaii's most powerful lawmakers. Yanji Denise and Ryan Kalea-Tsuji spoke with Iwamoto about the campaign and her goals moving forward.
Well, it's been about a month since Koko Iwamoto was able to pull what many call a political upset in beating House Speaker Scott Saiki.
It was her 3rd time entering this race. She was victorious despite the governor actively campaigning against her. She says she hopes her victory inspires others to run.
There's a lot of people who invested in maintaining the status quo, and a shakeup could shake things up in so many different directions. Ideally, I do want to inspire other people to run for office, even if it's against somebody who's been there for decades.
With Koko Iwamoto's victory over House Speaker Scott Saiki, the House now looks to elect a new leader. And Koko Iwamoto described what she hopes to be a historic moment for the Hawaii House.
I hope whoever is the new speaker and whoever's in leadership positions, they do take note of what I explained earlier, which is this move towards good government reforms, creating a climate that, again, distributes power is really important. So that person's going to be courageous. They're not going to lead through fear and insecurity. They're going to be visionary in terms of what they, and they're also going to be, they're going to appreciate the diversity of the legislative bodies, right? They're going to say that we have all of these great people with experience from all across the state. Let's make sure we include everyone. No one feels alienated or left out. So that person, and I'm hoping, with me busting through this ceiling, I hope The next speaker is a woman, since we've never had a female speaker of the House before. I would be so, as a trans woman, I'd be so happy to provide that allyship to the next speaker of the House.
You can catch the full interview at hawaiinewsnow.com. Coming up next week, we'll be focusing on Hawaii Island with the chief of police there, along with leadership from the Mauna Kea Stewardship and Oversight Authority. Catch us at Tuesday, 1 o'clock on K5.
Thank you, guys. All right, it's Wednesday. That means it's time for our weekly crime roundup. Joining us now is Sergeant Chris Kim from Honolulu Crime Stoppers. What do you have for us today?
Yeah, I got a couple cases I want to highlight. The first case is a theft in the second degree that happened on Friday, August 23rd, 2024, about 9:30 p.m. These two males stole the complainant's moped, which was parked fronting the Walmart in Royal Kunia. Both suspects are being described as unknown male in their 20s. I'll have the description posted at the end of the segment. Our next case is a forgery in the second degree that happened on Thursday, March 9, 2024, about 9:21 a.m. This unknown female entered the Pearl Hawaii Federal Credit Union over at the Hokua building in the Kaka'ako area and basically cashed the complainant's forged check. She's been described as an unknown female with a heavy build, fair complexion, wearing a white long-sleeve jacket, blue denim shorts, and black slippers.
And also important to note, the security camera here is almost crystal clear, so we're almost certain someone out there probably knows who she is, right?
Yeah, she's busted.
All right, and we also have a few other alerts to pass along.
Yeah, the next case I want to talk about is the attempted kidnapping on Wednesday, August 28, 2024, at about 6:30 p.m. A 10-year-old victim was at the intersection of Manakapu Street and Honolulu when an unknown male suspect attempted to lure the victim into his vehicle. Fortunately, the victim was able to flee and notify the parent, who then notified police. Suspect is being described as an unknown male, Caucasian, approximately in his 30s, medium build, brown hair, wearing a white short-sleeve T-shirt. He fled in a late model Subaru Forester, possibly dark blue in color, similar to the photo depicted. And the last case I want to talk about is that we're still trying to locate missing person John Lorea. He was last seen leaving his residence on Avanani Street in the Waipahu area on Sunday, August 18, 2024, at about 5 o'clock a.m. He does suffer from medical conditions that require daily medication. He's been described as a Caucasian Korean male and is approximately 58 years old, 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighing 140 pounds. If you know his whereabouts, please contact the Crime Stoppers or call 911. The case we talked about earlier can be seen over at the www.honolulu.org website, bottom left-hand corner, under Wanted Persons, where the viewers can see the description of the suspect that we spoke about earlier.
All right, Chris Kim, thank you so much for your insight. Tips from the public are very crucial in helping police solve these cases. So if you know anything, it can be just as small as you think you saw these suspects, and just go ahead and let them know. Again, P3 Tips mobile app or their phone number, and you will remain anonymous. Let's send things live outside now through the eyes of the Waikiki Aquarium camera. Another beautiful day there here in Hawaii, and there along the shoreline of Waikiki. Stay with us. We'll have more news and weather coming up after this short break.
let's take a look at our first alert weather headlines and see what we're tracking over the next couple of days. We've got breezy trades out there right now. Luckily, it's made it a little bit more comfortable outside compared to what we were seeing over the weekend, but we're going to be seeing weaker trades as we go forward into Thursday and Friday. A couple windward and Melka showers are still possible over the next couple of days, especially in the overnight to early morning hours. You can see in our first alert windcast, we've still got breezy winds in some spots Wednesday evening around 10 to 15 miles per hour. Throughout Thursday afternoon, still a little bit breezy, but we'll see a weaker overall flow throughout Thursday and Friday, making it feel warm and humid throughout Thursday and Friday afternoon. The trade winds are back thanks to this high pressure system that's been off to our northeast. This is going to be through at least tomorrow, but this upper level low pressure system is going to move in from the north and essentially block the trade wind flow. That's going to lead to weaker trades throughout Thursday and Friday. It's actually also going to make the trades more easterly, around 10 to 15 miles per hour. Off to our north, we've got a weak cold front that's actually associated with that low pressure system. It's not going to reach to us, but it shows that the entire atmosphere is connected. It's actually connected in a way that a lot of people here don't realize. We're going to start seeing surf on north and west facing shores moving into Thursday morning. North facing shores on Thursday morning will be around 3 to 5 feet. East facing shores still a little bit choppy out there with the trade wind energy, and you can see on our swell forecast that swell is going to be moving in throughout early Thursday morning. It's sticking around through at least Friday, so we're starting to see that time of year come back around. We're going to be moving into the wet season. You'll start seeing those monster swells moving in on north and west facing shores. Here's a look at your first alert 7-day forecast. Still warm over the next couple of days. The main thing that we're tracking again is weaker trades on Thursday and Friday, and the northerly swell moving in to start out Thursday.
The Waianae community is banding together after several recent incidents of gun violence, and some of the youngest residents are taking action. Casey Lund has more from the west side.
The tragedy of Saturday night unfolded at a home a little more than 2 miles up Waianae Valley Road, that intersection behind me. But here in town, there's a lot happening to remind people that this community is more than the bad news they see on TV.
We do believe in the power of prayer, for those who subscribe to that. And so for us, we want to be that community of gathering. We want to be a gathering place. And so we try to host different community events. We're not very big, but we're just trying to do what we can.
Danielle De Lima owns T-Espresso Bar in Waianae. She opened it back in February, wanting to create a positive space where people could come and gather.
So we have open mic night, which is really a combination of poetry, spoken word, or even just original music. We do have a lot of people now starting to inquire. Even Keiki is coming out and saying, hey, I've been working on something, I want to come and share it. And so it just gives people an outlet and a space to share their art and also to express themselves in a positive environment.
Just down the road at Waianae Intermediate, Principal John Wataoka's students are getting ready for another day of sign waving.
We made signs all last week, and this week, for the entire week, we're going to let the community know that our next generation of students are really working towards making our community that much better.
Our principal does a lot of these activities to keep people busy and keep their minds off of this type of stuff. And I like that we do a lot of these sign wavings to try and so people can see us and try to change their minds.
So one of the big projects that we've been working on for decades is the Waianae High School's brand new stadium and track, which is set to be complete by the end of this year. We also have a pool that we're working on right now. We identified 2 locations for our public swimming pool for Waianae, which is huge. Another project that we're excited to see is our new road in Nanakuli, which will be an extended secondary access road for our community to get in and out of the coastline.
Other organizations like the Waianae Hawaiian Civic Group say getting people back to Native Hawaiian culture can help end gun violence.
We have this consortium that was formed in February called Waianae Cares, and the purpose was to gather nonprofit organization, churches, information on what is it that our community needs to know, who can help them, and the different resources that we have. So what we also determined was that Hawaiian culture is very, very important, and that's what we really need to be focusing on. So the Waianae Hawaiian Civic Club created this Olelo Hawaii Art Language initiative where we see the entire Waianae Moku from Nanakuli to Makua speaking our language in 50 years.
We also spoke to community leaders who say it's important that everyone know there are social services, mental health services available for those who may be impacted by these tragedies. So many people in this community we talked to knew both of those families up Waianae Valley Road. They say they can't imagine something like this happening here. Reporting in Waianae, I'm Casey Lund. We'll send things back into the studio for now.
In today's news from the feeds, Pope Francis spent his first full day in Indonesia calling for religious unity. The nearly 2-week trip to Southeast Asia and the Pacific is his longest since becoming the top leader of the Catholic Church. CBS's Anna Matranga is traveling with the pontiff and has this report from Jakarta.
Pope Francis received a warm Indonesian welcome. With plenty of fanfare at Jakarta's presidential palace as his journey to Asia got into full swing. In his first speech of the trip, Pope Francis condemned religious extremism, urging the world's biggest Muslim country to embrace unity, saying a lack of mutual respect leads to endless suffering, wars, and needless violence. In 2002, Islamist terrorists attacked the resort island of Bali, killing more than 200 people, including 7 Americans. Pope Francis says the Catholic Church wants to improve dialogue to counter those who distort religion with deception and violence. The Pope appeared in good health and in good spirits on this first full day of what is going to be a marathon trip. 12 full days, 20,000 miles, and 4 countries, the longest trip of his papacy. The 87-year-old had a packed day of meetings with Indonesia's president and other political leaders. These next 2 weeks are sure to test the stamina of Pope Francis, who has some health issues and uses a wheelchair much of the time. On Thursday, the Pope will celebrate Mass with Catholics in the country, who represent less than 3% of Indonesia's population. Anna Matranga, CBS News, Jakarta.
In today's Good News Now, there was a very special honor bestowed upon a 99-year-old woman in Ohio. Claire O'Neill has her story.
Did you know you were coming here today to get your diploma?
No way. It means an awful lot, because that's been a long time ago in 1944.
McGarry thought she was going to dinner when she got a surprise from the Switzerland of Ohio Board of Education. She went to Woodsville High School and would have been a graduate of the 1944 class. But things took a turn and she never got the chance to get her cap and gown. Rather, she went to help her family during the war.
I quit high school in 1944 and went to work. Then, in them days, you know, work wasn't plentiful. And I just quit because my family needed us.
She began working in a pharmacy, then as a janitor with her husband. Even as the years passed, McGarry still wanted to graduate. She mentioned this to her friend Marie Adams, who has been planning this special day since May, and invited her other friends to come and watch.
It was something that she regretted her whole life, and being 99 years old, I thought it was important that she get her diploma.
Marie called her old classmate and Swiss of Ohio School District Superintendent Phil Ackerman, who helped set up the ceremony. Special graduation music played, and Georgia was able to get her cap, gown, and was presented her diploma by the current Woodsfield principal.
We were just happy to be able to do it. It's actually probably the first time we've had an opportunity to present a diploma to a person who's 99 years old. So I think it's just a privilege. I mean, it's such an honor to be able to do that because of the sacrifices that she made at that time to have to drop out of high school, and the fact that she still wanted that diploma, that it meant so much to her.
Georgia had to wait 80 years to finally get that diploma, but she says she's truly grateful for her friends and family to be there to finally get it.
I loved it very much because all my people are here.
Such stories of incredible sacrifice during the time of the war. I'm just happy to see that she finally got that.
I know. I wish she was wearing her cap and gown.
Yeah, that would have been so cute. I'm sure she went home and put it on anyway. Let's end today once again live outside in Waikiki. It's Aloha Wednesday, halfway through the work week, and a beautiful day there. Friendly reminder, Investigates TV is coming up right after This Is Now, so stay tuned for that.
Aloha.